So I'd like to start with an idea that at the beginning of the TEDx, they sort of had the thing like, not all these ideas are ours, we don't necessarily condone them. I thought, oh, good. But something I believe. And I think there's certain things as we live our lives that are gifts, and you can't control whether you ever receive them. They happen, and you either respond or you don't. My experience, I would argue two of them. One would be faith. The other is love. Given that background you just heard, you wouldn't be surprised to hear me say, I love musicals. I mean, I really love musicals. I didn't grow up in a family that had a big appreciation of the arts. Sort of fell upon it. In 1975, I was in Chicago, basically grew up in Chicago and then Milwaukee, and the National Touring Company of The Wiz was there. And my dad was a big Wizard of Oz fan growing up and read all the books and said, oh, let's go see this thing. So I'm in the second row, and if anybody ever saw that original production of The Wiz, there's a moment where the tornado occurs. And the director-choreographer, Jeffrey Holder, placed a woman with a huge turban in the middle of the stage. And the entire ensemble danced around her and slowly grabbed this cloth out of her head. And the music swelled. And suddenly, 1,500 people were in a tornado. I had never seen anything like this. What is this? Never occurred to me that I could ever actually do this. But I started going by myself with friends. I wasn't like the theater kid at school. It was just sort of this thing that I was interested in. Touring company of Annie, touring company of a chorus line, all those things. I got a scholarship to St. Louis U, and the first day I'm standing in the middle of Grand Avenue on the tour, and the tour guide goes, oh yeah, there's this theater opening down the street. It's called the Fox, and they need ushers. Left the line, became an usher at the Fox, where I could see these things 2 or 3, 4 times. Sure, I'll do it again. I mean, I saw Lena Horne, the lady in her music, 8 times. I mean, unbelievable. Now, if I was here from opera theater, or if I was here from the symphony, you wouldn't be surprised. You know, oh, I love this form. I think it's wonderful, and I can't convince you that it's wonderful. But the idea I want to talk to you about today is why musicals matter. Why they matter in a way you may have never considered before. So, to do this, we need to take a step back, and we're going to talk about the matter, the stuff of musicals, the stuff we use to create musicals. So, I need you to play with me a little bit here. So, I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to put yourself and think about, you got 2 options. The last time you were reading a really great novel, a really great story, and you were at a passage or a moment where that thing happened. I can still tell you, I can bring up the feeling when I read the words, hey boo. If you don't know what it is, talk to me afterwards. Or if you can't go there, imagine holding a child in your arms as you're reading the story, the Once Upon a Time, and what you know is going on between that child and those pages. So that's storytelling. Dance. All right, take yourself to the last time you're at a wedding and you got dragged out on the floor and you did the duck dance. And think about what was going on around you and the foolishness and the joy you felt. If you don't want to go there, think about the last time you saw a masterful ballet company. The epic suite, the joy. All right, we're going to wing into music here. 2 parts. The voice. Think about a voice that really matters to you. Sinatra, Sting, Ella Fitzgerald, Springsteen. You're in the car, you hear that voice. Then I want you to think about what's surrounding it. The St. Louis Symphony. What's the feeling? What's the association there? Think about the last time you were at a parade and a marching band, 76 trombones. Think about great actors. De Niro, Streep, Denzel, Kevin Spacey. Think about those people when they are on the screen, or if you've been lucky enough to see them on stage, and what they provide to you that's singular. Now I want you to go to the St. Louis Art Museum, and I want you to walk through it. And the extraordinary novelty of expression in history that's on those walls and what you take in. Last thing, let's talk about fashion. I want you to think of the last Halloween costume you saw that really made you laugh out loud. We used to do this thing at the Fox, this sing along a Sound of Music. If you ever get a chance to do it, do it. It's fabulous. And you come as the audience and you sing and you wear costumes. And my favorite was literally in came 14 people dressed as the Alps. I mean, magic. If you don't want to go to costume, I want you to think about an article of clothing that you wear, that when you're wearing that, that's you. It might be the old sweatshirt, it might be your suit, but you just sort of go, yeah, this is me. All of these things, hopefully, in this little exercise, have conjured up something in you. And you think, yeah, that's kind of wonderful. That's human, that's magical, that's everything. But here's the thing. You would never do them all at the same time. You wouldn't wear your Halloween costume to the St. Louis Art Museum and do a line dance with John Hamm. You wouldn't do that. That's crazy. You wouldn't read 1984 next to a solo saxophone while you're wearing your pajamas. That doesn't make sense. Each of these things I've talked about, music, dance, fashion, everything, they have their own rules, their own disciplines, their own forms of matter and why they exist. You don't put them together. You wouldn't bring a cowboy out on stage while a woman is churning butter, singing a slight operetta song, where at the end of the act you end it with a ballet from Agnes de Mille. You wouldn't ask the guys from South Park to write a musical about Mormons that opens with a number that looks like the June Taylor Dancers. That doesn't make any sense. But we do it. And it's not about, the great quote he had from about imagination insanity. What to think about is not the idea of doing it. There's a lot of craziness. But who does it? Who would want to do that? Who would want to take it all up, mix it all up, throw it all together? I think it's a certain kind of people. I think it's a certain kind of people who live in a nation that is a crazy idea in history. That black, white, Italian, Irish, German, Polish could all be in the same place. Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, atheist, agnostic. That we could come up with this form of government that is balanced and completely in tension. That we could all live in the same space where you have the culture of the Northwest and the Southeast. Where you have the Midwest and New York. Where you have New Mexico and Mississippi. That form, that search of the American musical, I believe, comes from the central dream of the idea of America. When you see a great musical, we're working something out. We're working something out. And when you see a musical, and there is a musical number or a moment where all of that somehow comes together, and it is greater than the whole, it is more magical than you could possibly imagine. You are in the tornado. I believe that points to one of the most powerful ideas that we have. And it is the reason, beyond the entertainment value, beyond the imagination, beyond the ingenuity, why American musicals are loved around the world. Loved. The growth in Southeast Asia in the American musical is unbelievable. Even this country, where we've decimated art programs in schools, parents, teachers, faculty are finding ways to still produce the school musical. There's a fiber there. There's something there. This is our art form. in one of the all-time best musicals, West Side Story, there is a song where they sing a very simple lyric, is, "There is a place for us." That is what the musical continually defines for its audience. Where is this place? How has it shifted? Every new influence that we are experiencing as a culture ends up on the American musical stage. I can tell you, having produced musicals, the lesson that you find in creating them, and I've been very fortunate to be with artists from page one, we have an idea, let's go, to unbelievably, you end up Broadway opening night. Basically, it takes 5 to 7 years to develop any new musical. It's a long, long journey. And what you find in that process is everybody is coming, giving all their passion from their discipline, and there's a moment where everyone decides how much they have to give up for everybody else to succeed. And when you see a musical that's bad, and yes, there are musicals that are bad, I would offer to you, it's because not enough people gave up. Not enough people said. The discipline of writing a musical is brutal. One of the hardest things to do is to be the book writer of a musical, because you will write pages and pages of glorious dialogue and interesting character work, and they'll hand it to the songwriter, and they'll accomplish 5 pages in 1 stanza of a song. You need 5 new pages. It's a constant flow. The other thing, interesting lesson in producing is, and I try to take this lesson throughout my life, when you add an element to a musical, you've got a book, you've got music, and suddenly then you add sets, costumes, lights. Every time you add an element, it's not like adding a layer. It fundamentally changes the whole thing. And you have to learn how to see it anew. Because whatever you thought it was, it's not that anymore. So what is this? And then how are we all giving up now to create this? And then the final arbiter is the audience. And they come and tell you, this is so not what you thought it was. And you don't know till they're there. So that's kind of a big idea. Something I believe. Now take that idea and set it in something even bigger. Set it in the middle of Forest Park for 10 weeks during the summer, for 96 years. The Muny is itself a big place, but it's a bigger idea. It came from a mayor. It was very simple. We're not getting along. This city is not becoming what it can become. So let's create a public space in the middle of everything where we can all gather and experience this together. And maybe, just maybe, we will be a better city. We will be better citizens. We will be less afraid of each other. We will be comfortable together. That is one of the most exciting ideas, artistic endeavors that exists in this country. And it's been in this community for 96 years. People say, why did you take the Muny job? Yes, it's a musical theater playpen. Makes me happy. But that's why I took the job. I wanted to be a part of that. If you don't know this, factually, it is literally the most democratic, accessible theater in this country. 10,000 seats, 1,100 free seats every night. They start lining up at 3 o'clock. It's a section in front of them. It's barely more than the price of a Muny, a movie ticket. Sorry. You know, and then you have those front boxes. 2 people have come up to me and said, how can I get into the boxes? Those seats are handed down on families. You have the history of St. Louis sitting in those boxes in Terrace A. Everyone feels comfortable. Everyone wants to be there, north, south, east, west, Illinois. It's the Muny. It's a bigger idea. And then we have this opportunity each night to engage them. When I took the job, I told the board something. Here's what you got to realize. When I said, I'm going to the Muny, everyone's like, I love the Muny. It was amazing to me. I mean, sincerely, people, I love the Muny, first thing out of their mouth. But you started dialing down, and it was sort of like, I love it like there's an old aunt upstairs who I really, really love. She's a dear, but don't make me go to lunch. And I said, we have to change that. We have to figure out how the Muny is about the past, honor this incredible legacy that is true and a part of St. Louis, part of its soul. Make it absolutely present today, alive. People are excited to be there tonight by the work that's on the stage, by the people that are on the stage. But more important, in the manner we produce the shows, in the way we treat them, in the whole environment, point to the future. Because the incredible relationship St. Louis has to the Muny is, and it is overwhelming, is when we succeed, they feel better about life in St. Louis. I can't imagine a better purpose for a theater. It is such a treasure and an honor. I'm going to conclude with 2 moments shared with the Muny in 2 years. The first season, we did a production of Disney's Aladdin, which is actually now on its way. That production, Disney's finally taking to Broadway. There was a break in the action, let us do it. And the show's a delight. It's so much fun, and it's sort of a vaudeville. And it begins with Aladdin's buddies coming out on stage. Now, you've got 10,000 people, and you're essentially doing children's theater in this grand St. Louis ritual. Coming to the family show has shaped generations of kids in St. Louis. And you need everybody in the same space. And so what we did is we brought the guys out on 3 live camels. And you felt the kids just go nuts. It wasn't the kids I was after. They're an easy target. It was the adults. And suddenly, all the adults were 4-year-olds. You want to become a kid? I'd bring a camel in here right now. You will be a kid. But what you had was differences gone. 10,000 people in our space literally feeling, let's play. Second moment, this last season, we did the classic West Side Story. One of the most brilliant musicals ever written. Ballet, dance, music, the greatest score. First act ends with 2 dead bodies on stage. Total silence. We did 7 gongs. Bum, bum, bum. $10,000 people sitting there, feeling it together, feeling each other, feeling it, and just being there. Those moments give me such hope for me, for the Muny, for St. Louis. And even if you don't think that musicals matter after all this, I hope you think hope matters. Thank you.